I'll welcome everybody in. We got to talk about something that's very important right now. Let me check, make sure my audio levels are good for all of you. So we got to talk about something like right now. This is major that has just come up today. Last couple of days. This is due to articles that have been written about potential issues with the NIL compensation for players with the EA college football game. And normally, I'm not one to do clickbaity titles. The title on YouTube is EA College Football in Trouble Due to NIL. But I think it's really important to understand just where we're at. Yesterday, I did a stream on Twitch and I'm going to be posting this on YouTube, where we read the article about players themselves mentioning that some of the higher end, the ones that are making a lot of money, or the bigger name players like Caleb Williams, maybe Drake May, others, Marvin Harrison Jr., they might opt out of being in EA college football because right now, currently, it seems to be that the compensation for each of the players is about $500 for their name, image, and likeness to be in the game when it releases next year. And you may have those players saying, hey, I'm worth more than the third string guy on a team. Therefore, I should be making more money. Excuse me, I got to put on my ring for fun. But this is something that has really concerned me. Made me wonder about with even the team builder. So let's go ahead, and I did this yesterday, reading this article all about it. It's going to go up. It's on 3 talking about it. And I just saw come across my news feed on 3 talking about the College Football Players Association. And they are trying to organize a boycott, right? They're trying to organize a boycott, telling players don't opt into the game unless you're getting more money. So let's go ahead and go right to it. I'm going to switch over to the main thing. Okay, I don't know why it's showing that screen. Let me go ahead right here. Okay. Pro Streamer, okay? Let me take off my Stream Elements overlay for you here on YouTube. So, real quick. Okay? Let's take a look at what's being said. Okay? Justin Falcinelli helped build one of the top college football programs of 2010. Clemson's starting center for 2 years, left with 2 national titles. Excuse me, let me roll down for you a little bit. But securing the program's success had him wanting a piece of the revenue he generated. Meanwhile, head coach Dabo Swinney benefited. He signed a $115 million contract over 10 seasons in 2022. The NCAA installing its interim NIL policy in 2021 was viewed by many as a victory. For the first time in college sports history, athletes were turning a profit. Last month, EA Sports announced players would be paid for their NIL to be used in the college football video game, which is slated to return in 2024. EA has contracted 1 team partners to facilitate college players' likeness. A source told On3 the cash flow for athletes was in the $5 million neighborhood, which would pay out to $500 per player. Sportico has also reported that there are no royalties. For Falcinelli, who is the vice president of the College Football Players Association, that does not fly. The organization tried to establish its first chapter at Penn State last summer, and the CFPA is now urging athletes to boycott the game with the hope EA will reconsider its payout to athletes. All current players should boycott this deal. It is an opt-in deal, and they should not opt into it. It is just a ridiculously low amount of money, Falcinelli told On3. Given the context and the hype that surrounds this game, when we first heard the number, we're like, all right, that sounds low. Let's go figure out if it's low. And started talking to guys. Talking to some of my friends, some guys who are still playing in the NFL. So what are NFL players getting paid for Madden? And the numbers we were given from 2019, it was disclosed that they got, I think, about $17,000. And then a current NFL player told us that he got a check for $28,000 this year for Madden. You should not participate in this. It is a simple cash grab. Just try to get you for the lowest amount possible. And it's 1 team partners in all these organizations that don't really represent the player's best interest. Now, I will say there's a little bit of a difference between Madden and college football. Madden does more money than college football, at least when college football and Madden were coming out. College football would make money, but Madden would make more money. There's also 126 Division I football teams. And there's going to be more, actually, because you have Jacksonville State joining these ranks. But Madden only has 53, and in Madden, you only have to have 53 players. That's the number of players on an NFL team. So it's a little bit different. You can pay the players a little bit more. Also part of the problem is you have the NFLPA. There is a union. So what we have here is the College Football Players Association. They're trying to make a union for college football players, which currently doesn't exist. NFLPA, they're the ones that, do the collective bargaining with NFL owners and all this type of stuff. So there isn't that. So this is why currently players are allowed to opt in individually, and it's not going to a union to vote on, hey, should we be in this or not? Generally speaking, the union is the one that usually will negotiate all this type of stuff. That's not happening here. This is what Falcinelli and people are trying to do. So, is it in trouble? It could be if people take what Falcinelli is selling seriously, especially if they're some of the top players in college football. They may say, "Hey, wait a minute, yeah, I should be making more money than the guy over there." Okay. CFB PA, circling video game as priority. The College Football Players Association has openly jockeyed for independent medical care and post-football health protections for athletes in the last year. The organization would also like to be at the table representing players if revenue sharing is ever a possibility. So again, they want to be the union that's negotiating this with all the colleges. It has the view it should negotiate group licensing deals too, with the best interests of athletes in mind. But for the time being, some of the focus on athlete rights has switched to the EA Sports college football video game. Falcinelli and CFBPA founder Jason Stahl told On3 they have already been in touch with athletes about not handing over their NIL rights to EA in exchange for the payout. The players could instead lead an effort to boycott the game, and I'm willing to bet they're probably reaching out to the big name players, because if those big name players say, hey, we're not going to do it, you're going to have other players saying, I'm not going to do it. So I'm willing to bet they're probably going for that. Falcinelli and Stahl are urging players to join the association with the belief an organized effort could create some change. Neither disclosed what an ideal number would be. When the Edo banning case was settled in 2016, about 29,000 players who appeared in the college football and basketball video games were paid out an average of $1,200. We really think this can be a unifying effort because it's such a clear target and clearly a bad deal, said Falcinelli, who is now a data insight analyst based out of Baltimore. For the top athletes, it's expected they will be able to sign one-off marketing deals to promote the video game. Those endorsement deals could make up for any dollars lost from the $500 payout to opt in to the game. Some of the major players could also have the leverage to quietly approach one-team partners and strike a one-off deal with the help of their agent. For 99.9% of the players, opting in to the deal makes sense, On3 founder CEO Shannon Terry said of the EA Sports game. For so long, players were not able to receive $1 for having their name, image, and likeness used. Excuse me, they didn't use the name, image and likeness used. The $500 can go a long way and is a bonus because the real Sorry. I'm reading down and I forgot that's not showing for you guys. Because the real value is being in the game for generations. For some athletes like Drake May and Caleb Williams, holding out could add up because their value to the game is obviously greater than $500. That is up for them to decide what is most important to them. The last time the EA Sports video game hit the shelves in 2013, roughly 1.5 million copies were sold. Since then, the gaming industry has seen significant growth and interest. Esports Leagues have been started. Twitch has been an extremely popular live streaming service thanks to video games. The Madden franchise is estimated to generate $600 million in annual revenue, Jefferies analyst Alex Giamo told Barron's in 2020. And remember, that's also because of all those card packs, the Ultimate Team. Guys, if that's the case, I'm thinking Ultimate Team's going to be in college football. But you guys kind of see where I'm saying if players decide to stay out of college football, what does that do also to the team builder? Do they put team builder in because someone may make the team and put, like, let's say Caleb Williams says, I'm not in the game. I don't want to be in the game. You haven't paid me. Well, but the problem is, coach, an SJ Line coach on Twitter is saying, not in trouble. EA will just release without names and we'll all just down like the rosters like we used to. The problem is they could be in trouble because people will just, if image and likeness is used at all, they could still be sued. So they'd have to be someone that's not named Caleb Williams, or someone puts it in. It's a whole mess, guys. This is where it comes down to if people are individually doing it. I think this is where you can have some issues. I don't know. I just think it's a little bit more complicated because of the image and likeness part of it. Remember, that's what Ed O'Bannon's lawsuit won on. So I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer, and I hate that I did the stupid clickbait name, but why not? Why not? Again, yesterday, some players mentioned that some people, I read the article from On3 that some players may opt out of it. And here we're seeing that we have this group saying, encouraging players to opt out of it. Who knows what's going to happen? On3's Andy Witry spoke with multiple FBF players last weekend. I read that article yesterday on Twitch. At the NIL Summit, one of the most interesting takeaways was that athletes are already having internal locker room conversations about the video game and possible holdouts. There's also a consensus that $500 is too little for the game's top stars. Yes, I can definitely see that. Kansas is all Big 12 second team quarterback, Jalen Daniels said. I could definitely see it, especially with the highest college football players that are in the nation right now. If they're getting paid as somebody who a lot of people really don't know of, and they're the most known person in college football, I can definitely see their agent saying, all right, what's going on here? And SJ Line Coach is saying on Twitch, I think a happy medium would be to use a sliding pay scale so compensation would be directly linked to overall sales. I think that's probably best. I think you have to, I think the way name, image, likeness was already originally conceived was if the players do really well, then they get more money. Okay. That's something that I think needs to be addressed there with that. I think you can see it where you have, hey, if you're in the game, but you're like a walk-on or you're a third string and you're not playing, we're going to give you this much money. If you're a top star, you get more money. And so certain people, other than that, you know, if you've got, excuse me, if you're a higher end player, you know, you're bigger name, you get more money. I think that's the only way it's going to be fair. And I think that will keep people happy. Now, what is the higher name player? What would a Caleb Williams or Drake May think that they're worth to the game? Especially if they're the cover athlete. Let's say they're the cover athlete. Do they think they're worth more? So these are all questions that I think, this is why I feel like we're not hearing a lot, because they're trying to work out how to compensate these players. EA Sports is exploiting the players. During his time at Clemson, Falcinelli jokes he was viewed by many as a gamer. He made a magazine list or two for his prowess, and he still plays video games to this day. It's one of the reasons, along with his playing experience, why he's passionate about how the cash is dispersed from this upcoming video game. He knows that while EA may only offer $500, the company will continue to profit from microtransactions after the frenzy to purchase the game. Remember, everybody's like, oh, microtransactions don't matter. Well, here you see, right? If I'm purchasing and I'm doing microtransactions, is it of a in-game player? If you're doing Ultimate Team, if you're a player that was in this game and then the next year you're being sold in the microtransactions of Ultimate Team, does that then also mean that you get money from that previous game? I mentioned yesterday when I read the article from On3 about the NIL with all the players, they were saying, are people getting paid in perpetuity? These are all questions that I think need to be answered. And again, like I said, it's different than Madden. Madden only has so many teams. Pro football has so many teams. College football has 126, has over 120, over 126, and more players. So this is going to be a very interesting question. One team partners will not give the athletes the opportunity to negotiate a more fair wage. Falconari views these payouts as just the latest exploitation of athletes. I am excited for a new college football game. I know how much people love it and how much hype there's been, he said. It's exciting that we're now at this point to where you can create group licensing deals for college football players to create this game. I think that is a huge milestone. But as soon as you get below the surface, it's a bad deal. It's another one of those things that seems to be a pattern of college football. Like, oh, there's one thing that's happening that sounds great, but then you dig into it and you're like, all right, maybe a step in the right direction, but it's still just exploiting the players. Excuse me. There you can see that as it's written. Base would be $500, and if EA hit certain sales marks, that amount would go up. For example, 500,000 copies sold, everyone gets 500. Will mail copies, they get 750 so on. Greed cover athletes should get more. That's what Echelon Coach is saying. Echelon Coach, $500 per athlete is more than the NFL guys get from Madden. That's not what Falcinelli is claiming. Let me scroll up here, guys. He's claiming that he has been told by NFL players getting paid for Madden that we were given 17,000, and that a current NFL player said that he got 28,000 in a check. Now, maybe that NFL player is lying. This all could be different than in times past. Maybe it's because it's been negotiated as of late with all the microtransactions that occur. I don't know. That's what he's claiming. I don't know if anybody. I would have to look that up to verify who's lying here, right? But I think it may have changed. I think the NFLPA may have negotiated something different. I don't know. So again, does this mean that EA College Football is dead or is in big trouble? Not necessarily, but I think this is why we're not hearing a lot, right? Everybody's we're about a year out from when this game is supposed to come out, and I know absolutely next to nothing. We're hearing little bits and pieces, and I guarantee you the biggest reason is because of how they're going to pay the athletes. They're trying to get all the athletes to opt in. The players all the players have to opt in individually. There is no PA that is just saying, okay, we're all in. So they have to all do this individually. Again, it's going to have to be also for the high school players that will be part of the class of 2024. They're going to have to wait for those guys, but we're going to see what happens. I think what you're going to see is maybe freshmen get less than the upperclassmen. If you're a starter or a star and you're the big time player of college football, the big thing for me is, what if you become a star during that year? Do you get to go back and say, hey, I need more money because I became a big star during the season, even though I wasn't when you did college football? Don't know. I don't know. But these are all good questions to be asking. Is college football in trouble? Maybe not. I put the thumbnail on YouTube saying maybe. Look for the video where I talk about the players yesterday from the NIL Summit that was talked about in this article. But over on YouTube, we're going to go ahead and end this, guys. I think it's important to understand it's not that simple just to pay the athletes. There are going to be questions. I think that's why we're not getting the answers that we want. We're not hearing a lot about the game necessarily, what's in the game completely, because they're trying to figure out how to pay these players. Over on YouTube, if you're enjoying this content, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe. We're doing NCAA Dynasties on Twitch, NCAA 14 Dynasties. We have the cupcakes, as you can see. We also have been doing other ones with Revamped. Appreciate you. Have a good one there on YouTube.